Yo guys, welcome back to the Slow Crit. We are going to dive into race footage in just a second, but people ask about equipment, so let's talk about equipment real fast. I am racing the WinSpace T1550 Gen 1 in this race. It's got SRAM Red, which is really nice. This is now the older version of SRAM Red, but totally capable, obviously. This bike is just fun to ride. It's especially good in crits. I have shorter cranks on this. It's got 165mm cranks. It's got narrow bars. It is just stiff as hell. But down to the business end of the bike, the wheels and tires, of course, I'm running 28mm Continental GP 5000 tubeless tires on pretty deep WinSpace wheels. I think these are the Hypers. Also, like original, like version 1 Hypers. 67mm deep, if I remember correctly, which are actually perfect on this course because there's decent pavement. There's really wide roads, and on this particular day, there's really no wind to speak of, which is quite rare in San Luis Obispo. So we're going with a full aero setup, deep wheels, the works. It's going to be fastest on this particular day, but you know what's more important than your equipment is basically everything. Is your fit on the bike, is your training, is your nutrition, is your strategy. So don't put too much stock into equipment, you guys. And so back to the race, you're going to see some familiar faces, some familiar jerseys. This on the left is Blake. This, of course, is my teammate on VFR. And although we are wearing the same jerseys, in fact, I think there's 3 or 4 of us, nobody is teammates on this particular day. We decided it wouldn't be fair or fun for us to just gang up on the rest of the field with no teammates. Everyone just decided it's probably going to make more sense to race as individuals. So that's how we're handling it. It's every man for themselves, which means I got to stay particularly careful, you know? Like, I'm a field sprinter. That's my jam. That's how I want to finish this race, is if we're all together for a field sprint. But I have to keep my eye on what's going on up the road, make sure there's not too threatening of a group. And as I say that, am I gearing up for IM? Early on, what am I doing? I'm attacking up the hill. Sometimes the timing is just too good. And also, you know, the best defense is a good offense. So I'm going to send an early one here. And again, I've talked about this before. This isn't a try to go solo for the rest of this 31-kilometer race type move, because that's not what I'm good at. This is a attack before you get attacked sort of move. And when the timing's that good, I'm off the front. I'm not doing anything crazy. I'm a little bit over threshold here, but I'm not doing anything totally crazy here. I'm hoping, hey, worst case, I get brought back. Not a huge commitment in energy. And best case is like other people bridge up. And then, hey, look, we've started a breakaway. That's not completely unheard of. So that's the idea for an attack like this. But instead, I get brought back, and Brad counters right over the top of me, which sucks because he's not my teammate, right? So have to look out for that one. Brad's a threatening breakaway rider. He is the type of guy who could just go solo for the rest of this race, but by himself, I wasn't going to commit the energy to try to chase him back. Plus, I just got brought back. I'm a little bit tired. But a couple laps later, when Andrew goes, there he goes off in the distance. Now, this one, I have to respond. This is like the hill I die on, because if those two guys get together, I know how these guys ride. They're my teammates. I know if they get together, that's pretty much going to be lights out. So I have to make sure that they get brought back. And this is a pretty big commitment in energy, if I remember correctly. Yeah, I mean, trying to keep it smooth and consistent. I was hoping that there was there's usually a right to left crosswind through here. I could gutter everybody behind, but you can see that flag was pretty much completely still. I have to just respond. I have to respond to this. I wasn't going to sit around and wait for other people to respond to it. This is just way too threatening of a move. So commitment and energy here early on in the race, not ideal, but hey, so we're still on the hunt, guys. We're still fighting for the win. And then I'm trying to drop back to catch my breath, and I want you to keep an eye on that butcher box rider that just came by. That's Joe. There he goes. He is going to swing out to the right, attacking the same place that I did just a few laps before this, and he's going to go solo. Now, this usually seems threatening, and it is. Like, I never want people to be off the front, but when there's a solo rider off the front, just like I did with Brad, I'm okay letting that go, because the chances of a solo rider being successful in a breakaway is way less than 2 riders, especially 3 or 4 riders have much higher chance of staying away and winning the race from a breakaway. So you got to choose your battles. And, letting Joe go up the road, we're going to keep an eye on it for sure. And as you see when we fast forward here, we actually do a pretty good job to continue rotating to keep him on a leash. He is strong. He's out there solo for a long time, but we're all sharing the load, the burden of the chase back. So this is still a really good situation for me as a field sprinter. But eventually Andrew gets impatient and sends it. Also on the hill. How about that? It's almost as if the hill is a good launching point for attacks. So once Andrew goes across, just like before, this is really threatening. And I feel like this is a mistake. I probably should have sprinted and tried to get in Andrew's gap. But see how quickly he's up the road. I mean, this is the power of the slingshot attack. It's really hard for me to respond when he came by me with so much speed. But this is really threatening. Joe out there was threatening enough. Joe and Andrew is going to be really, really difficult to bring back. But we've been working together so nicely. I thought, hey, maybe there's a chance it'll continue, and I can save energy sharing the load of this chase back. But things really start to deteriorate here in the chase. People are starting to get tired. You see the gaps opening up. In case you're curious what that looks like, gap opened up, skipped pole, Maddie on the attack off the front. I'm doing a whole bunch of power to try to chase that back. I'm yelling at this guy to close it. More gaps are opening up. Heart rate's elevated. More gaps opening up. People looking back. People stopping pedaling. These are obviously all signs that we are no longer racing with the common interest of bringing back those two riders. And as a result, their gap has opened up. It went from 5 seconds to 7 seconds. Now they're probably closer to 10 or even 12 seconds. And it's time to do something. And a few kilometers later, I'm thinking maybe it's time to just try to jump across solo. I think they're still within striking distance. This happens. I hit something huge that it wasn't a slice. It was just a big puncture. It was like I hit a nail or a screw or something that was so big that the sealant wasn't holding. In fact, I also tried to plug it, and the plug wasn't holding. I put another plug. 2 plugs wasn't holding. So eventually I was like, I just have to put a tube in this thing. And by the time I got all this figured out, I probably missed, I kid you not. I mean, these are short laps, but I probably missed like 6 laps, something like that. So this is a practice race, right? Like I'm not bringing spare wheels out to a practice race. Now, if this were a bigger race, right, I would have like a spare set of wheels on the side of the road here where I could quickly swap it out. This is called a free lap. This is totally legal. This is very common in crit racing. But since this is just a practice race, I'm obviously not doing that. I'm just going to let myself back in after missing a significant chunk of the race.
Yeah, get back in there. Win this race.
Well, now the problem is now if I do, I'm going to catch so much shit.
And yeah, just like I said, I mean, I guess I could go back in and win this race, but am I really the winner? No, I'm not. But we're still going to have a little bit of fun and see how the end of this race plays out. So I do this chase back, like I said, as a token of goodwill, a peace offering to the group because I missed so many laps. And that wasn't 15. I was exaggerating. It was probably more like 6. But I am going to chase this solo rider back. But that's the situation on the road now. That group of 2, Andrew and Joe, have both been brought back. This Cal Poly rider was dangling off the front. I bring him back. I take a token pole on the front. But other than that, we are all back together inside of 8 kilometers to go for a field sprint. But there are a bunch of riders in this reduced group who aren't happy with a field sprint. So they're going to try their luck at some late race attacks. But nobody's willing to let these things go. This group's a little bit too big. And people are just eager to chase these back. So you can see there's one right here that gets brought back pretty quickly. And there's another one right here just about a kilometer later that also gets brought back pretty quickly, which means we are setting ourselves up very nicely here for a field sprint. And that brings us into just outside 2 kilometers to go. Blake on the right-hand side sending this late race attack. These are so threatening, you guys, because here's the thing. What happens when you're this close to the finish is everybody, even non-field sprinters, are starting to think about their chances in a field sprint. And nobody wants to chase inside of 2 kilometers to go because everyone's trying to save as much energy as possible. So if you are not a field sprinter, try one of these big slingshot late race attacks like Blake just did, because I swear you'll probably surprise yourself and catch a bunch of sprinters off guard. Like, look at us right now being lazy, being so lazy. I'm actually dropping back. I'm going further back because I want my whole aim here is to be a ghost. I do not want to spend any time responding to attacks, responding to surges. I want to sit in the draft, have a very smooth effort that is an efficient effort to the finish. That way I can have as much energy for the final 200 meters as possible and unload the most powerful sprint I'm capable of. And in order to do that, I can't be chasing stuff. But the problem is everybody's thinking this way, right? Look at Maddie up there, 2 wheels in front of me. He's thinking the same thing I'm thinking. The Cal Poly rider in between us, in front of me, he's doing the same thing. And as a result, I mean, they're right there, right? Look, it's John and it's Blake, and they're only a few seconds off. Maddie's going super lazy. He's even pulling off to the right. So I'm going to use this opportunity kind of begrudgingly to do a bit of an effort here to make sure that we're keeping them at least within striking distance. Because, guys, we are 1 kilometer to go. Like, this race is going to be over in just over a minute. These laps are so short. Shout out to this enormous Cal Poly rider in front of me. I totally forgot your name. I'm sorry. But the draft is amazing, and he is going to lead things out. which is amazing for me in this position because I don't want to be too close to the front. In fact, I'm going to let this rider on the right here slot back in because I don't want to be too close to the front at this point. It looks like John in the blue jersey is getting brought back. We're inside of the last lap. Now, Blake by himself off the front. He's only got a couple of seconds, and now he's pulling off to the right. So now we're all back together. The problem now I'm seeing is maybe, like I said, I'm too close to the front. I don't want to be exposed at the front with 400 meters to go because then that's a really difficult position to be in. If I start my sprint with 400 meters to go, I'm just going to end up leading out somebody else, probably Maddie. So I'm going to try to maximize the time I spend here in the draft, but it's getting a little bit cagey here. There's a gap opening up. We're a little bit surgy. And then 300 meters to go. I'm under 200 watts. We can't have that. I have to sprint immediately. That's what I do. It's a little bit earlier than I wanted, but it's basically the same spot as last week, if you guys remember. I'm going to win this final corner, this last consequential corner, take it really wide. It's really hard to pass in that situation. And then as we start going up this hill, it's a 5%, 6% hill. It's really hard to get past inside the final 100 meters going up a hill. So my power starts to fade a little bit towards the end, but it was enough to get the job done for the win? Question mark? Not really. I took like 5 or 6 free laps. So I'm going to give the win to Andrew here on my left, who passed me, my teammate on VFR. And then, of course, we have Joe also coming in, those 2 riders from that mid-race breakaway. Really fun one, guys. Thanks for watching another edition of the Slow Crit. Get subscribed if you haven't already, and I'll catch you in the next one.